The first thing Quinn Davis noticed was the pounding in her skull, a brutal rhythm that matched the nauseating swirl of her stomach. The second thing was the weight on her finger, a dull pressure, metallic, unfamiliar. She groaned, turning her head on the cheap hotel pillow, and that's when she saw the ring. A simple silver band, snug on her left hand. Her ring finger. What the hell? She blinked.
No. No, no, no.
She sat up, too fast, and regretted it instantly as the room tilted around her like a malfunctioning carnival ride. The sheets fell from her chest. She was wearing only a bra and someone else's oversized t-shirt.
Shit.
The word came out hoarse dry. Her throat was a desert. Her eyes scanned the room. Chaotic, clothes strewn across the carpet, 2 champagne bottles, empty. And then she saw her, a woman, sleeping beside her, half buried in the blanket, blonde hair splayed across the pillow, back turned. Quinn's heart dropped to her stomach.
No. This couldn't be.
She couldn't have, did she? Slowly, carefully, she turned to look at the nightstand. Her breath caught in her throat. A paper, crisp, official-looking, too clean, too precise to be anything casual. She reached out with trembling fingers. Marriage certificate. Names printed in elegant black ink, Charlotte Whitmore and Quinn Davis. Jesus fucking Christ. The woman stirred. Quinn froze. And then Charlotte rolled over, groggy, eyes fluttering open. She was stunning. Ridiculously stunning. Messy blonde hair, sleepy blue eyes, lips parted slightly with confusion. And then those eyes landed on the certificate in Quinn's hand. Charlotte blinked once.
Twice.
Then sat up, pulling the blanket with her. Oh, she said, voice rough with sleep.
Shit.
Quinn stared at her, mouth dry. Do you remember? I remember tequila. And a dare, Charlotte muttered, rubbing her eyes. And God, was there a karaoke machine? Quinn buried her face in her hands. We got married. We're fucking married. Looks like it. Charlotte's tone was too calm, too casual for the magnitude of what had just hit them. Quinn turned to her sharply. You don't seem shocked enough. Charlotte tilted her head, as if she were trying to recall something buried beneath the fog of alcohol. I've definitely done worse things drunk. But yeah, this is new. New. Quinn's voice rose an octave. I don't even know you. Charlotte squinted at her, then offered a hand like they were in a job interview. Charlotte Whitmore. Nice to meet you, wife. Quinn stared at the hand like it might bite her. Unbelievable. Agreed. Charlotte sighed, finally scanning the room. She looked composed. Not exactly thrilled, but not freaking out either. That made Quinn feel even worse. I can't be married. I don't even believe in marriage. That makes 2 of us, Charlotte muttered, reaching for her phone. A few seconds later, her entire face changed. Her expression shifted from hungover indifference to tight-lipped panic. Fuck.
What?
We can't annul this. Not yet. Excuse me? Quinn's voice sharpened. You don't get to say we can't when we didn't agree to this. Charlotte stood, grabbing her phone and walking toward the window. This is bad. This is so bad. What the hell is going on? Quinn asked, standing too, trying to catch her balance. Charlotte turned slowly. Okay, listen. I need you to not freak out. You're too late for that. Charlotte exhaled. My mom is Senator Victoria Whitmore. Quinn blinked. The conservative one? Running for president? That Victoria Whitmore? The one and only. Quinn laughed, short and humorless. Well, this just keeps getting better. Charlotte's voice dropped. And she doesn't know I'm gay. Quinn stared. You're kidding. Nope. Charlotte ran a hand through her hair, anxiety cracking through the surface of her polished facade. And if she finds out, it'll destroy everything. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, Quinn muttered, mostly to herself. Charlotte didn't respond. Instead, she turned back to her phone, typing furiously. There's more, she said after a beat. Of course there is, Quinn said flatly. I was involved with someone. Evelyn Harrington. Quinn froze.
Wait.
Harrington, as in the wife of Congressman Robert Harrington? Charlotte nodded slowly. He's one of my mom's biggest donors. If he finds out Evelyn and if anyone finds out, we're all screwed.
My mom.
The campaign. Evelyn's marriage. Everything. So, what do you want from me? Quinn asked, arms crossed. Let me guess. Pretend this never happened? Charlotte hesitated, then shook her head.
No.
Actually, I want you to pretend it did. Quinn blinked. What? Let's stay married. 6 months. Just enough time for this to blow over, for Evelyn to see I've moved on, for my mom's campaign to get past the critical point. You're insane. I'll pay you. Enough to cover whatever you need. Debts, loans, rent, everything. You just have to be seen with me. Photos, events, fake social media. We'll sleep in separate rooms. No touching. No expectations. Quinn wanted to scream, to throw something,
To run.
but her landlord had been breathing down her neck for 2 months. Her bank account had 3 digits. Her job at the bookstore barely covered groceries. And this woman was offering a way out. You want me to be your fake wife? She said bitterly. You are my real wife. Legally. Charlotte's smile was faint, dry. I just want to make it look intentional. Quinn sat down on the edge of the bed, heart racing. You're unbelievable. Maybe. But I'm also desperate. Quinn looked at her. Really looked at her. And for the first time, she saw past the arrogance, past the mess, past the scandal. She saw a woman terrified of losing everything. A woman running from 1,000 lies. And maybe, just maybe, Quinn understood that. Fine, she said finally. 6 months. That's it. Charlotte nodded once. 6 months. But as their eyes met, something twisted in Quinn's chest, something hot and unfamiliar. Because the line between fake and real, it had already started to blur. Charlotte's penthouse apartment in Washington, D.C. was the kind of place Quinn had only seen in magazines. Floor-to-ceiling windows, polished hardwood floors, an abstract sculpture in the corner that probably cost more than her car. Or what used to be her car, before it broke down, and she sold it for parts. Now she stood at the threshold of the lavish living room, a small duffel bag in hand, wearing the same jeans from 2 days ago, and trying not to look as utterly misplaced as she felt. So, Charlotte said, stepping in behind her, heels clicking softly against the marble tile, this is your new home. For the next 6 months, anyway. Yeah, Quinn muttered, looking around. Home sweet manipulation. Charlotte smirked, setting her designer bag on the granite countertop. Charming. We're off to a great start, wife. Quinn shot her a look. Don't call me that. You are my wife. Legally. Not emotionally. Not romantically. Not spiritually. Not, okay. Charlotte held up her hands in surrender. No need to perform an exorcism. Quinn dropped her bag near the couch and turned to her. Let's just get one thing straight. I'm only doing this for the money. I'm not your friend. I'm not your emotional support animal. I'm here to act like we're in love. That's it. Charlotte nodded, the playfulness in her eyes dimming slightly. Crystal clear. And for a second, something flickered behind her gaze, something almost like hurt. But then it was gone, replaced by her usual polished calm. We should go over the terms. I thought we already did. Charlotte moved to the kitchen island, opening a drawer and pulling out a folder. Not legally. And not in writing. I had my lawyer draft a contract. It's basic. 6 months. We attend public events together, maintain a presence on social media, live under the same roof. In exchange, you get a monthly stipend and a final lump sum when the marriage is dissolved. Quinn raised an eyebrow. You mean annulled?
Right.
Annulled. Charlotte hesitated for a breath too long. Anyway, there's also a clause about discretion. You can't tell anyone this is fake.
Not friends, not family.
Especially not the press. Quinn scoffed. Don't worry. I'm not exactly dying to tell the world I married the senator's daughter in a drunken haze.
Good.
Because the brunch is tomorrow. Quinn blinked. The what? Campaign brunch. High-profile donors. Paparazzi. My mother will be there. Your mother? Quinn repeated flatly. The woman who thinks gay people are the devil's PR team.
Yes.
That one. Charlotte handed her the contract and a pen. Try to look radiant. Quinn stared at the pen, then up at Charlotte. You're serious? Always. Do I get hazard pay for pretending to be in love with you in front of your mother? Charlotte tilted her head. You're pretending? I thought you were already obsessed with me. Keep dreaming. Quinn signed. The next morning was a blur of makeup artists, stylists, and a woman named Delilah who shoved Quinn into a fitted navy blue dress that hugged her in all the wrong ways. This is not me, she muttered as Delilah adjusted the neckline for the 5th time. It's not supposed to be you. It's supposed to be her wife, Delilah replied, not even looking up. Charlotte, of course, looked effortlessly radiant in a pale gold satin dress, hair swept into a messy bun that somehow screamed elegance and chaos all at once. Don't slouch, she said, adjusting Quinn's shoulder. And smile. You look like you're at a funeral. I feel like I'm at a funeral. You're about to meet the Grim Reaper herself. So that tracks.
Quinn groaned.
Perfect. The brunch was held at a historical estate outside D.C., complete with manicured gardens and a string quartet playing soft classical music on the lawn. People milled about in tailored suits and pastel dresses, holding champagne flutes and fake smiles. Quinn felt like she'd stumbled into a Wes Anderson film on acid. And then she saw her, Senator Victoria Whitmore, a tall, statuesque woman in a cream pantsuit, silver blonde hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun, lips painted crimson, eyes like daggers. She was standing near a marble fountain, flanked by staffers and donors, laughing at something that probably wasn't funny. Ready? Charlotte murmured beside her. Absolutely not. Too bad. Charlotte laced her fingers through Quinn's. The contact sent a jolt up Quinn's spine. Unexpected, electric. She tried not to flinch. Remember, Charlotte whispered, smile like you're in love. They walked across the lawn, hand in hand, and every step felt like walking into enemy territory. Cameras clicked. People turned. Whispers rose. Quinn could feel the tension radiating off Charlotte like heat. Charlotte, Victoria said, her voice cool and sharp. You're late. Traffic, Charlotte said smoothly. But I brought someone special. Mom, this is Quinn. My wife. The senator's eyes narrowed. Quinn extended a hand. Ma'am. It's a pleasure. Victoria looked at the hand like it might infect her. Then, reluctantly, she shook it. You're married. Surprise, Charlotte said lightly. It was very spontaneous. I can see that. Victoria's gaze flicked over Quinn's dress, her hair, her posture. Disapproval radiated from her like a second skin. And what do you do, Miss Davis? I'm a writer. Quinn lied, then added quickly, freelance. Mostly. How lovely. Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. And how long have you two known each other? Long enough to fall in love, Charlotte said, squeezing Quinn's hand. Quinn forced a smile. It was fast, but real. Fast things rarely last, Victoria replied coldly. Charlotte's jaw tensed. Some things don't need years to mean something. Quinn felt the sting behind those words, and for a moment, she wasn't sure if Charlotte was lying to the senator or to herself. They spent the rest of the brunch parading around like the perfect couple, arms linked, sharing soft looks, taking photos under rose arches. Quinn hated how natural it started to feel. At one point, Charlotte leaned in to whisper something, and her breath tickled the curve of Quinn's neck. Quinn forgot for a second that it wasn't real. But then Charlotte's phone buzzed. Quinn glanced down at the screen. Evelyn Harrington. 3 messages. Charlotte's face darkened. She turned the phone over, hiding the screen. Everything okay? Quinn asked. Charlotte looked away. It's fine. But it wasn't. And as the cameras clicked and the senator watched them like a hawk, Quinn couldn't help but feel like she'd just been pulled into something far more dangerous than she'd signed up for. Something real. The photo of them kissing had gone viral. Of course it had. It was soft, graceful, and perfectly lit. The sun hitting just behind the rose garden, Charlotte's hand cupping Quinn's jaw, lips grazing with just enough sensuality to make it look real but tasteful.
Strategic.
Political. A kiss for the cameras. A kiss for the narrative. A kiss that hadn't been discussed or rehearsed. A kiss that caught Quinn completely off guard. "You didn't tell me you were going to do that," she snapped as soon as they were back in the car. Charlotte, sitting beside her with her signature calm, shrugged. "It looked good, didn't it?" "That's not the point." "It's exactly the point," Charlotte said, scrolling through her phone. "We're selling something, Quinn. That photo's already on 4 news sites, and my mother's campaign manager just texted me 6 heart emojis." Quinn turned to the window, jaw tight. "You used me." "You agreed to be used," Charlotte replied, more tired than cruel. "There's a difference." The silence that followed was sharp.
Thick.
Quinn folded her arms and stared out at the passing trees, the ache in her chest completely out of proportion for something that was never supposed to be real. The next morning, Quinn woke to the smell of fresh coffee and the distant sound of Charlotte pacing in the kitchen. She pulled on a hoodie and padded out barefoot, finding her fake wife in silk pajamas, phone pressed to her ear, brow furrowed. "Yes, of course," Charlotte said. "We'd love to. This weekend." A pause.
A sigh.
"Perfect." She ended the call and met Quinn's eyes with a sheepish smile. "Pack a bag. We're going to Virginia." Quinn raised an eyebrow. "You're not serious." "My mother wants to spend the weekend with us at the family estate. She says she wants to get to know you. She wants to interrogate me. Also that. What do I even wear to a political witch trial? Something expensive. And bulletproof." Quinn groaned, already regretting every decision that had brought her to this point. The Whitmore estate was every bit as oppressive as Quinn had imagined. Grand columns, manicured hedges, American flags waving from wrought iron poles. The kind of place where secrets were polished and hidden in gilded frames. Victoria greeted them at the door, flanked by staff. Her smile was sharp as a blade. "You're late. Again." "Traffic," Charlotte said breezily, but Quinn could see the tension in her shoulders. "You remember Quinn?" "Of course." Victoria's eyes scanned Quinn from head to toe, calculating. "We've prepared the East Wing for you both." "One room?" Charlotte asked, voice casual. "Naturally. You're married." Charlotte didn't flinch. Quinn, however, nearly choked on her spit. The room was massive. Antique furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows, a bed that could fit 6 people. Quinn dropped her bag and turned to Charlotte. "We're sharing a bed?" "We're pretending to be in love," Charlotte said. "Pretend harder." Quinn glared. "You could have told me. I didn't know. But don't worry, I don't snore." "That's not God." Charlotte sat on the edge of the bed, pulling off her heels. For a second, she looked exhausted. Human. "Let's just get through this weekend, okay?" Quinn softened, just slightly. "Okay." Dinner was formal.
Stiff.
Victoria presided at the head of the table like a queen in a chess game, asking loaded questions with surgical precision. "Quinn, how did you two meet again?" "At a bookstore," Quinn said quickly. "I spilled coffee on her shoes." "And it was love at first stain?" the senator said, arching a brow. "Something like that," Charlotte offered with a tight smile, fingers brushing against Quinn's under the table. A small act. Calculated. But it made Quinn's skin buzz. Later that night, after enduring hours of political talk and passive-aggressive comments, they returned to the bedroom in silence. Quinn peeled off her dress and slipped into sweatpants, feeling the ache in her back from holding perfect posture all night. "Your mom hates me." "She hates everyone," Charlotte replied, unpinning her hair. "You're doing fine. You kissed me yesterday." "Yes." "In front of cameras." "Yes." "Why?" Charlotte paused. "Because it worked." "That's not an answer." Charlotte turned to her, face unreadable. "You looked like you needed grounding." "I don't know. Maybe I did too." Quinn opened her mouth, then closed it again. There were too many questions in her throat. Too many things she didn't want to admit. "Whatever," she said finally, climbing into bed and turning her back. The mattress shifted as Charlotte joined her. The The space between them was inches, and it felt like a chasm. Quinn didn't sleep much. Every time she started to drift, she felt Charlotte shift beside her, soft breaths brushing against her shoulder. At some point, she rolled over and found Charlotte awake too, staring at the ceiling. "Can I ask you something?" Quinn whispered.
Sure.
"Did you love her, Evelyn?" A long silence. Then, "Yes. But not in the way I wanted to be loved back." "She wanted to keep you a secret." "Exactly." Quinn nodded in the dark. "You deserve better than that." Charlotte turned her head, eyes meeting Quinn's in the faint light. "So do you." The moment stretched between them. Heavy, charged, dangerous. But neither of them moved. And maybe that was the most terrifying part. Quinn woke up with Charlotte's arm slung across her waist. For a moment, she didn't move. The weight was warm, familiar. Her breath caught in her throat as she stared at the soft morning light filtering through the heavy curtains. Charlotte's forehead was nearly touching her shoulder, breath steady against Quinn's skin. It was so gentle, so natural, it almost didn't feel like a lie. But it was. All of it. She shifted carefully, dislodging Charlotte's arm, and slipped out of bed. She needed air.
Coffee.
Distance. The kitchen in the Whitmore estate was absurd. Marble counters, glass cabinets, a staff of 3 already bustling around at 7 in the morning. One of them offered Quinn a coffee without asking. She accepted it gratefully and escaped to the back terrace. The sun was still low, gold light spilling over the stone balustrades and dew-kissed hedges. For a moment it was quiet, peaceful. Then Charlotte appeared, barefoot, her silk robe tied loosely at the waist, hair tousled from sleep. She looked like something out of a perfume ad. Quinn looked away. "You disappeared." "Didn't want to wake you." Charlotte joined her at the railing, sipping from her own cup. "You looked peaceful." "That's debatable." Charlotte glanced at her. "Did you sleep?" "A little." "Because of me?" "No, a beat." "Yes." Charlotte didn't respond. The silence between them wasn't hostile, just fragile. "My mom's planning something," she said finally. "I can feel it. She doesn't strike me as someone who lets things happen by chance." Exactly. As if summoned by the very mention of her name, Victoria appeared at the terrace doors, perfectly dressed, makeup done. Not a single hair out of place. "Girls," she said with a smile that was anything but soft. "There's been a change of plans. We've arranged a little media opportunity today. Just a quick interview. Nothing invasive." Quinn blinked. "Excuse me?" "A live segment," Victoria continued, "with Liberty Morning News. Their Sunday edition. They want to highlight strong conservative families. Your story is inspiring." "You've got to be kidding," Charlotte muttered. "Don't be ridiculous," Victoria said, already turning away. "You'll do wonderfully. Be ready in 2 hours." And just like that, she was gone. Quinn turned to Charlotte. "Live TV. She's trying to trap us. Push the image of the perfect daughter, perfect wife. Can we say no?" "Technically. But that would just confirm her suspicions." Quinn downed the rest of her coffee. "So we lie." "We lie," Charlotte said softly. 2 hours later, Quinn stood under the hot lights of a makeshift studio in the estate's drawing room, heart pounding. The interviewer was all smiles and tight blazers, gushing over their whirlwind romance. "So tell us," she chirped, "how did you two meet?" "At a bookstore," Quinn said smoothly. "She was in the philosophy section." "And she spilled coffee on my boots," Charlotte added, reaching over to squeeze Quinn's hand. "It was adorable." The interviewer laughed. "Love at first spill. And how long were you dating before tying the knot?" 3 months, Quinn lied. "It felt right." "How romantic," the interviewer said, practically purring. "Tell me, Quinn, what's it like joining such a public family? With the campaign and all?" Quinn hesitated. For a second too long. Charlotte's thumb rubbed against her knuckles, grounding her. "It's intense," Quinn said. "But worth it. Because of her? Because of her." The segment ended with a posed photo and a warning that it would air the next morning. Quinn managed to stay upright until the cameras left. Then she exhaled hard. That was awful. I was going to say nerve-wracking, but sure. Charlotte smiled faintly. You were good. You lie well.
So do you.
They stared at each other for a second too long. Then Charlotte's phone buzzed. Her face darkened as she looked down. Quinn's stomach twisted. Is it her?
Yeah.
Charlotte turned the phone over without replying. She's in DC, she said quietly. What? She landed this morning. Wants to meet. You're not going, right? Charlotte hesitated. I don't know. You can't. It's not that simple, Quinn. It is. You're married.
To me.
Charlotte raised an eyebrow. Fake married. Still married. Why does it matter to you? Charlotte asked, voice sharper now. You're getting paid. Because if she shows up at a hotel with you and the wrong person sees it, this whole thing falls apart. I fall apart. You think your mom's campaign will protect me? Charlotte looked away. You're right. Damn right I am. They stood in silence again. This time, it felt heavier. I won't go, Charlotte said finally. Quinn nodded. But something inside her had already curled into a knot. Later that night, back at the penthouse, Quinn found herself scrolling through Twitter. The clip from the interview was already trending. Screenshots of them smiling. Holding hands. Hashtags. A side-by-side of Victoria Whitmore giving a speech about family values and her daughter kissing another woman under a rose arch. We're a meme now, she muttered. Charlotte, curled up on the other end of the couch with a glass of wine, snorted. At least we look good. Quinn didn't laugh. She turned to Charlotte. Are you really done with her? Charlotte didn't answer right away. I don't know, she admitted. She was the first person I ever really let see me. And she saw me, but she didn't want me. Not all of me. Just the parts that could fit in her perfect world. And I'm what? The decoy. You're the only one who said yes when I needed someone. Don't romanticize it. I'm not. But her eyes said otherwise. I didn't think you'd care if I met her. I don't. Quinn's voice was hard. But if you do, then this, whatever this is pointless. What if I don't meet her? Charlotte said softly. What if I stay here? With you? Then maybe it's not so pointless. They stared at each other, and the room felt like it had stopped breathing. The wine. The proximity. The truth. You shouldn't look at me like that, Charlotte said. Like what? Like you mean it. Maybe I do. Charlotte's expression cracked. Just a little. Quinn, but she didn't say anything else. And neither did Quinn. Because Evelyn was calling again. And this time, Charlotte answered. Charlotte didn't come to bed that night. Quinn knew the moment. She felt the stillness in the air, the cold on her side of the mattress, the absence of soft breathing next to her neck.
She didn't check the time.
She didn't need to. The soft buzz of Charlotte's phone on the kitchen counter had been the only sound in the apartment for hours. The unanswered call had turned into a red message. The message had become silence. And now, silence had become absence. Quinn lay there in the dark, eyes wide open, heart in her throat, pretending she didn't care. She had told herself she wouldn't. That this arrangement didn't leave room for feelings. But feelings didn't wait for permission. They crept in through moments. Like shared laughter over wine. Or Charlotte whispering you looked peaceful like it mattered. Quinn closed her eyes and forced herself to sleep. She dreamed of crashing waves and someone walking away. The next morning, Charlotte was in the kitchen like nothing had happened. Hair damp from the shower, wearing an oversized Georgetown hoodie, barefoot, coffee already poured. Morning, she said, casual. Careful. Morning, Quinn replied, voice like gravel. You're up early. Didn't sleep much. A pause. You slept fine. It was a lie. But so was everything else. They sat in silence, each pretending not to feel the weight of what hadn't been said. Finally, Quinn stood. I've got to go. Someone from the Post reached out to do a feature on indie writers in DC. I told them I'd meet for coffee. Charlotte looked up sharply. A feature?
Yeah.
You didn't mention it. Didn't think it mattered. Quinn, it's just coffee, she snapped. I won't make out with a journalist or anything. That's your move, remember? Charlotte flinched. Quinn regretted it instantly. Sorry, she muttered. That was accurate, Charlotte finished for her. Where were you last night?
Out.
With her? I don't owe you that explanation. Maybe not, but I deserve it. Charlotte looked at her for a long, painful moment. We talked. That's it. And that helped.
No.
It made everything worse. Good, Quinn said, grabbing her bag. Then we're on the same page. She left without another word. The coffee meeting was uneventful. A younger journalist named Lila, who clearly thought Quinn was far more established than she actually was. But toward the end, Lila leaned in. Look, off the record, are you really married to Charlotte Whitmore? Quinn blinked. Why? I mean, the internet thinks it's real. But your face during that Liberty interview said something different. It's real, Quinn said smoothly. She's everything. Lila raised an eyebrow. You're a good liar. You should write fiction. Quinn smiled tightly. I do. Back at the apartment, Charlotte was curled up on the couch, watching the same clip of the Liberty interview on mute, as if studying it. Practicing for your next performance? Quinn asked as she walked in. Charlotte didn't look up. What did you say to the reporter? The truth. That we're in love. That you're everything. Charlotte finally looked at her. Why would you say that? Because that's what people want to hear. And what do you want? I want you to stop acting like I'm just a favor you bought. You're not. Aren't I? Charlotte stood slowly, voice trembling. You think this is easy for me? Lying to everyone? Hiding everything. You've been hiding your whole life, Charlotte. First from your mom, then from Evelyn. Now from me. I'm not hiding from you, she whispered. Then tell me what you want. Charlotte stared at her, chest rising and falling fast. I don't know. Then maybe I should take that job in New York. Charlotte's mouth parted. What job? Quinn pulled the letter from her coat pocket. A full-time editorial assistant position. Housing included. 6-month contract. Funny timing, huh? You're leaving? I haven't decided. Don't go. Why not? Because I don't want you to. That's not enough, Charlotte. They stood there in the middle of the room, ocean-wide distance between them. Then Charlotte crossed it. Slowly.
Carefully.
She reached for Quinn's hand. Then I'll tell you what is enough, she whispered. But just as her fingers brushed Quinn's skin, the elevator dinged. A knock at the door followed. Charlotte froze. Quinn stepped back. Expecting someone? No, Charlotte opened the door. Evelyn stood there. Blonde hair perfect. Lipstick precise. And in her hand, an envelope. We need to talk, Evelyn said. Her eyes flicked to Quinn. Alone. Charlotte hesitated. Quinn gave a bitter laugh. Of course. She turned and walked toward the bedroom. I'll be fake married in the other room if you need me. The door shut behind her. And with it, the fragile thread between truth and performance began to unravel. Quinn sat on the edge of the bed, fists clenched in her lap, trying not to imagine what was being said on the other side of the door. She could hear the muffled rise and fall of voices. Charlotte's sharp, tense. Evelyn's calm, calculated. She hated how easy it was to imagine them together. How, just hours earlier, Charlotte had stood in this room pretending to care, pretending to reach for something real. And now she was out there with the woman she actually loved. The silence that followed was louder than the arguing. When the door finally creaked open, Quinn didn't look up. She's gone, Charlotte said. Quinn nodded. Great. She brought something. Charlotte held out the envelope, but Quinn didn't move. What is it? An NDA. Quinn's head snapped up. Are you serious? She's scared the campaign will find out about us. There is no us anymore. You made sure of that. Quinn, don't. She stood, brushing past Charlotte, pacing the room. So what? She wants you to disappear again? Go back to hiding in hotel rooms and kissing in the dark. Charlotte's voice was small. She said we could leave. Start over. Quinn froze. You're considering it. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Quinn's chest tightened, breath shallow. You're still in love with her. It's not that simple. It's always been simple. You just make it complicated because you're terrified of wanting something real. Charlotte stepped closer. And what if I want you? Then prove it.
How?
Tell her no. Tear that NDA in half. Tell her she doesn't get to own you anymore. Charlotte stared at the envelope. You don't get it. No, Quinn snapped. You don't. You don't get to sleep next to me, kiss me in front of cameras, hold my hand, and then run back to her the moment it gets hard. None of this was supposed to happen. What feelings? Quinn laughed bitterly. Yeah, well, maybe you should have married someone you could keep lying to. I didn't expect you to matter. And yet I do. Charlotte looked down at the envelope, then walked to the kitchen, grabbed a lighter from the drawer, and without saying a word, set the NDA on fire in the sink. The flames curled around the edges of the paper, eating Evelyn's neat signature until nothing was left but ash and silence. There, she whispered. That's what I choose. Quinn stared at the smoke curling upward. Her heart twisted, but not from relief.
From fear.
Because this wasn't a love story.
Not yet.
This was still a deal. And every choice carried a price. Charlotte turned to her. She's going to tell. She'll leak it. Everything. Then we brace for impact. My mother will destroy me, then stop hiding behind her. Charlotte opened her mouth, but the shrill ring of Quinn's phone interrupted them both. She picked it up, frowning. It's the editor. From the job. She answered. Hello. Miss Davis. I'm calling to follow up on the position. We've expedited the offer. We need an answer by tomorrow. Quinn's throat went dry. Tomorrow?
Yes.
If you want the role, we'll need you in New York within the week. She hung up slowly. Charlotte watched her. You're going to take it. I haven't decided. Don't lie. Don't make this harder than it already is. Charlotte stepped forward. Stay. I can't. Not unless it's real. It is real. Then why does it still feel like a performance? Because I don't know how to be myself yet. Then learn. Fast. Charlotte's phone buzzed. A notification. From Evelyn. You'll regret this. She turned the screen toward Quinn. She's going to blow it all up. Let her. Quinn. If it means you stop running, then let her. Charlotte's eyes filled with something unreadable. Fear, love, desperation. Maybe all three. She took Quinn's hand, softer now. I don't want to lose you. Then don't. But what if it's too late? Then make it worth something before it ends. That night, they didn't kiss. They didn't touch. They lay in bed, back to back, breathing the same air, but trapped in separate storms. Quinn stared at the ceiling. Her suitcase was still by the door. She hadn't unpacked since Virginia. She didn't know if she ever would. And in the dark, Charlotte whispered, I don't want you to go. But Quinn didn't answer. Because if she did, she might stay for all the wrong reasons. And this time, she needed it to be real. It started with a tweet. One tweet from an anonymous political account known for breaking early stories, followed by a blurry photo of Charlotte and Evelyn together outside a hotel in Georgetown, time-stamped 3 nights ago. Sources confirm Charlotte Whitmore, daughter of presidential candidate Victoria Whitmore, engaged in a year-long affair with Evelyn Harrington, wife of Congressman Robert Harrington. A recent quickie marriage to bookstore employee Quinn Davis appears to be a cover-up. Quinn saw it before Charlotte did. She was in the kitchen, pouring coffee, phone buzzing nonstop with Twitter notifications. She read the tweet 3 times, each word sinking deeper into her chest like cold water. She didn't move, didn't breathe. Then she heard Charlotte's voice from the living room. What the hell? And the silence that followed. Charlotte, Quinn said, walking into the room, holding up her phone. Is this real? Charlotte stared at her own screen, eyes wide with disbelief. I didn't think she'd actually. You were with her 3 nights ago? Charlotte looked up sharply. It wasn't what it looks like. Then tell me what it was, because I'm starting to forget what's real anymore. Charlotte opened her mouth, but no words came out. The phone in her hand buzzed again, and again, until it didn't stop. Her face went pale. Quinn took a step back. You knew this was coming. I didn't know it would be this fast. But you knew. And you didn't warn me. Charlotte looked at her, desperate. I thought I could handle it. I thought I could protect you. By hiding things from me? By keeping it quiet long enough to fix it. Fix what? Our fake marriage? Or the fact that your ex just exploded your life with one tweet? Charlotte flinched like she'd been slapped. Quinn regretted the words, but not enough to take them back. I have to go, Charlotte said suddenly, voice clipped. Go where? My mother called a meeting. Emergency campaign summit. She wants me there in 20 minutes. And I suppose I'm not invited. Quinn, don't. Quinn turned away, her chest tight, fists clenched. You go. Handle your family. Handle the press. Handle your mess. I'm just the girl you paid to wear a ring. Charlotte walked to the door, hesitated, then looked back. I didn't pay you to care. Quinn didn't answer. The door shut softly behind her. The silence left in her wake was unbearable. Quinn sat on the couch, shaking, phone still buzzing. Friends texting. Colleagues sending links. Even Lila, the journalist she'd met last week, had messaged her. You okay? This is insane. Call me if you want to talk.
But Quinn didn't reply.
She just stared at the headline as it climbed trending topics, watched as her face, her smile next to Charlotte's, got ripped apart by political analysts and conspiracy theorists. And somewhere between anger and heartbreak, she realized she didn't know where Charlotte ended and the performance began. At the Whitmore campaign headquarters, chaos reigned. Phones rang without pause, assistants raced across rooms with printed talking points, and the press office was locked behind a wall of silence. Charlotte stood in the conference room with her mother, 3 advisors, and a lawyer. The look on Victoria's face was pure fury masked in professional disappointment. Tell me it's not true, she said without greeting. That you didn't actually sleep with the wife of my top donor. Charlotte didn't blink. I did. You have no idea what you've done. Actually, I do. And I'm done pretending I don't. One of the advisors cut in. There's still time to manage this.
We can spin the marriage.
Make it look like Charlotte had a lapse in judgment, but she's committed now too. No, Charlotte interrupted. You don't get to erase Quinn. She's part of the narrative, the advisor insisted. We control what people think. Quinn is a person, not a campaign tactic.
She's a nobody.
Charlotte's voice sharpened. She's my wife. The room fell into silence. Even Victoria seemed stunned. Is that a confession or a declaration? Her mother asked coolly. Both, Charlotte said. I love her. It was the first time she said it out loud. And it shattered something inside her. Because as soon as she said it, she knew it was true. Knew it wasn't a strategy or an escape. It was a disaster, but it was real. Victoria exhaled slowly. Then you'd better go fix it. Before the country tears you both apart. Charlotte arrived back at the penthouse to find the door slightly ajar. Panic rose in her throat. Quinn, she called out. No answer. She stepped inside. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Her heart pounded. The bedroom door was open. The closet, half empty. The drawer where Quinn kept her keys and wallet, cleared out. On the kitchen island, one item remained. The wedding ring. Charlotte moved toward it slowly, like it might disappear. She picked it up.
Cold.
Still warm from Quinn's hand, maybe. She turned to the counter. There was a note. A torn page from a notebook, her handwriting rushed and raw. I didn't sign up for the truth to hurt this much. You need time to figure out who you are when no one's watching. And I need time to forget how easy it was to believe the lie. If you ever learn to stop running, you know where to find me. No name. No goodbye. Just that. Charlotte sank onto the stool, staring at the ring, the note, the absence. The space Quinn used to fill was suddenly cavernous. A knock at the door jolted her. She almost didn't answer. But when she opened it, Evelyn stood there again. Her arms crossed, eyes sharp. It's done, she said. I leaked it. I know. He filed for divorce. This morning. Charlotte stared at her. Is that what you wanted? Evelyn stepped closer.
No.
What I wanted was you. But I see now you were never mine to keep. Charlotte didn't respond. Evelyn glanced past her, into the empty apartment. She left. Yes. Are you going to chase her? Charlotte swallowed. I don't know how. Evelyn sighed. Then she really was different. Charlotte closed the door gently, quietly, as if even the sound of it was too loud for the grief building in her chest. She walked back to the kitchen, picked up the ring again, and held it tight in her fist. Then she did something she hadn't done in years.
She cried.
Not for Evelyn. Not for her mother. For the first time, she cried for herself. And for Quinn. For what they lost. For what could have been. For what still might be, if she found the courage to be the woman Quinn thought she was pretending to be, but wasn't. The hotel in Brooklyn was small, quiet, anonymous, perfect for someone trying to disappear. Quinn sat on the windowsill of the sixth-floor room, knees drawn to her chest, watching the morning unfold over the gray skyline. Car horns, distant sirens, the buzz of life carrying on as if nothing had shattered. As if she hadn't just walked away from the only thing that had made her feel alive in years. She hadn't spoken to Charlotte since she left. No texts. No calls. No answers. Just that note. Just the silence that stretched and pulled until it felt like a wall between them. Quinn had taken the job. She was officially employed, sitting through editorial meetings where nothing felt real, smiling politely at coworkers while her chest ached. She told herself she'd made the right choice. That walking away was a statement. That she wasn't going to be second best, not to Evelyn, not to anyone. But then she turned on the TV. It was supposed to be background noise while she ate breakfast. But then she saw Charlotte, standing alone at a podium. Hair pulled back, no makeup, no campaign colors behind her. Just a plain gray curtain and a single microphone. The news banner at the bottom of the screen flashed, breaking, Charlotte Whitmore to make statement amid scandal. Quinn's fork dropped onto the plate. The room around her blurred. Charlotte looked different. Not composed. Not polished. Just real. I didn't come here today on behalf of my mother's campaign, she began, voice clear but shaky. I came here for myself. Because I'm tired of hiding. And I'm tired of being used by the people who raised me, by the people I tried to love, and by the system that tells me who I should be to make other people comfortable. Cameras flashed. Reporters scribbled notes. Quinn's pulse quickened. Yes, Charlotte said. I was in a relationship with Evelyn Harrington. And yes, it ended badly. I won't excuse what happened. But I won't pretend it was shameful, either. I loved her.
And she loved me.
But love doesn't always mean truth. Or safety. Or freedom. Her voice cracked just slightly. After that ended, I did something reckless. I got drunk in Vegas. I made a bet. And I woke up next to someone I didn't know. Someone who had every reason to run the minute she realized what she'd gotten herself into. But she didn't. She stayed. She stood beside me when I needed her most. She told the world she loved me before I even knew if I could say it back. Charlotte's hands trembled on the podium. Quinn's throat closed. So, I'm telling the truth now, Charlotte said. I'm in love with Quinn Davis. I don't care if it was a mistake or a scandal or the most insane thing I've ever done. It's the most honest thing I've ever felt. Quinn stared at the screen, frozen. Her coffee had gone cold. Her heart hadn't stopped racing. My name is Charlotte Whitmore, the woman on the screen said. I'm gay. I'm married. And I'm done pretending. The room exploded with noise. Journalists shouting questions. Cameras zooming in. But Charlotte didn't flinch. She stood there, alone, proud, raw. And somewhere across the country, Quinn sat in a cheap hotel room in Brooklyn, covering her mouth with her hand as tears spilled down her cheeks. News outlets were vicious. Some called it brave. Others called it political suicide. Victoria Whitmore released a statement an hour later.
Cold. Distant.
My daughter is entitled to live her life as she chooses. This campaign, however, remains focused on the values of the American people. No denial, but no support. Charlotte was officially on her own. Quinn turned off her phone after the fifth voicemail from journalists. She didn't want interviews. She didn't want comments. She didn't want anyone twisting Charlotte's confession into something it wasn't. She wanted to feel it.
Alone. Whole.
Like it had been meant for her, and only her. That night, she walked through the city streets, mind spinning. Charlotte had said she loved her. In public. On camera. No spin. No filters. And maybe it was foolish, maybe it was too late, but part of Quinn wanted to get on a train, walk back into that penthouse, and ask if any of it could still be real. But she didn't. Not yet. The next day, she showed up to work and was met with curious glances. Her boss called her into the office. "I saw the press conference," he said. "And if you need to take time off, you can. I can't imagine what it's like having the whole country staring at your personal life." She didn't lie. Quinn said quietly. "It wasn't fake. I didn't say it was." He paused. "But it might be bigger than both of you now. Just be careful." Quinn nodded and left the office early. She went to the park, sat on a bench with a notebook in her lap, and stared at a blank page. She wanted to write something. Anything. But the words wouldn't come. Not yet. Later that night, in her hotel room, there was a knock at the door. Quinn blinked. She wasn't expecting anyone. She crossed the floor slowly, heart pounding. When she opened it, no one was there. Just an envelope on the ground. Her name, written in sharp, familiar handwriting. She picked it up, stepped back inside, and opened it with trembling fingers. Inside, a plane ticket. One way. From New York to Washington, D.C. And a note. Just 4 words. "If you're ready, come." The train ride to D.C. felt like it belonged to another version of her, one that hadn't been burned raw. Quinn sat by the window, watching the landscape blur past, the plane ticket untouched in her bag. She couldn't bring herself to fly. Not for this. Not for something that still made her chest ache with equal parts longing and fear. The note had been brief, but it had said everything Charlotte needed to say. "If you're ready, come." Quinn didn't know if she was ready. She only knew that her fingers had shaken when she bought the ticket, that her heart had pounded like a drum when the train left the station, that her pulse hadn't slowed since. She didn't know what waited for her on the other side. Just that Charlotte had made the first move. And Quinn wasn't ready to leave it unanswered. When she arrived at Union Station, the world felt louder than she remembered. She pulled her hoodie tighter around her face, ignoring the flashes of Charlotte's name still haunting every newspaper, every overheard conversation. People were still talking. About the confession. About the scandal. About the girl from nowhere who married into the fire and left it burning behind her. But Quinn wasn't here to correct the narrative. She was here for one person. The doorman at the Whitmore building recognized her, nodded silently, and didn't ask questions. The elevator ride stretched longer than it should have, her reflection in the mirrored walls older than she remembered. When the doors opened, she stepped into the hallway and stopped. The door was already open. A crack. Like it was waiting. Like she was waiting. Quinn took one breath, then another, and walked in. Charlotte was in the kitchen, barefoot, hair loose, wearing that same gray hoodie from the morning Quinn had left. She turned slowly. Their eyes met, and neither of them moved. "You came," Charlotte said, voice soft. Quinn nodded. "You left the door open. I wasn't sure you'd walk through it." "I wasn't sure either." Silence settled between them, not heavy, not sharp, just thick with everything unsaid. Quinn stepped further inside, eyes scanning the room. It looked the same, except it didn't. The space felt emptier. Or maybe she did. "I watched your speech," she said. "I figured you would. You said you loved me." "I do." That's a big word. "So is come home. Is that what this is?" Charlotte moved closer. "I don't know what it is. I just know you're here. And I don't want you to leave again." Quinn looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the cracks beneath the calm, the tremble beneath the smile, the hope clinging to every word. She remembered what it felt like to kiss her, to fight with her, to sleep beside her, and pretend it didn't mean everything. "Do you regret it?" Quinn asked. "The lie. The contract. Vegas. No. Even if it cost you everything? I didn't lose everything, Charlotte whispered. You're standing in front of me. Quinn's breath hitched. You really weren't pretending? Never with you. Then why did it hurt like hell? Because I was stupid. And scared. And I didn't know how to love someone in the open. But I'm learning. Quinn's heart twisted. I'm still angry. I know. Still hurt. I know. Still don't trust you completely. I don't expect you to. Then why did you ask me to come? Because I needed you to know that I'm not hiding anymore. That I'll fight for you. That this, us, was never fake. Not to me. And what do you want from me? Charlotte stepped closer, so close their breath mingled. A second chance.
Why?
Because the first time, I was a coward. The second time, I won't be.
Quinn didn't speak.
She just looked into her eyes, searching for the lie that wasn't there. The pain hadn't vanished, but something else pulsed underneath it. Something alive. She reached out slowly, brushing a strand of hair from Charlotte's cheek. Do you still have my ring? Charlotte nodded. I keep it beside the bed. Bring it. Charlotte blinked. What? Bring it. She disappeared into the bedroom, heart in her throat, and came back holding the simple silver band between her fingers. She offered it without a word. Quinn took it and slipped it back onto her finger. It still fits, she whispered. Charlotte's breath caught. So do you, Quinn added, voice shaking. You still fit. Here. She placed Charlotte's hand on her chest, right where her heart beat loud and furious. Charlotte surged forward, and their mouths met in a kiss that wasn't for the cameras, wasn't for the contract, wasn't for the press. It was for them. Raw, aching, desperate. Quinn grabbed her like she didn't trust herself to let go again. Charlotte held her like she'd waited for this every second since she watched her walk away. They stumbled back into the kitchen counter, laughter breaking between kisses, tears mixing with breathless moans. It wasn't clean. It wasn't pretty. It was real. Quinn's hoodie was tugged off. Charlotte's fingers tangled in her hair. Hands on skin, mouths rediscovering every corner they thought they'd lost. They didn't make it to the bedroom. It didn't matter. The couch became a confession booth. The rug, a reunion. The soft moan Quinn gave when Charlotte kissed the hollow of her throat sounded like forgiveness. And the way Charlotte whispered, I love you, against her skin was nothing less than worship. Hours passed. The sun dipped. The lights stayed off. When it was quiet again, they lay tangled together on the floor, heartbeat against heartbeat, rings shining in the fading light. Are we crazy? Quinn asked, fingers tracing circles on Charlotte's bare back. Definitely. Are we doing this for real this time? There's no more pretending left in me. Quinn looked at her, eyes wet. Then I guess I'm home. Charlotte kissed her slowly, gently. Welcome back, wife. Quinn smiled into the kiss. Let's try this again. From the beginning. No lies. No contracts. Just you and me. You and me, Quinn repeated, until it's real enough to hurt, and still worth it anyway. Charlotte closed her eyes and held her closer. And for the first time since Vegas, they both believed it might actually last. The morning after didn't feel like an after at all. It felt like a beginning. A soft, tentative, fragile beginning. Quinn woke up with her cheek pressed against Charlotte's chest, their legs tangled beneath a blanket they must have pulled onto the couch at some point in the night. The apartment was filled with golden light, warm and quiet, the chaos of the world waiting just beyond the windows, but, for now, blissfully distant. Charlotte stirred beneath her, exhaled slowly, and when she blinked awake, her arms tightened around Quinn like she wasn't quite ready to let go. You're still here, she whispered. You sound surprised, Quinn replied, lifting her head. I half expected you to vanish again. I could still run, Quinn teased. I've got great stamina. Please don't. Charlotte's voice was soft, vulnerable in a way that hit Quinn straight in the chest. I won't, she said. Not unless you push me again. No more pushing. Not from me. Quinn sat up slowly, brushing her hair back. Then let's see how real we can make this. But the world, as always, didn't wait for them to be ready. Charlotte's phone vibrated 3 times in a row, then again. Quinn looked down at the screen. 10 missed calls. From your mother. Of course, Charlotte muttered, dragging her hands over her face. She's pissed. She saw the speech. She saw the fallout. Donations dropping. Allies distancing. She thinks I can still fix it if I make the right moves. And what does right mean to her? Disowning everything I just said. Quinn scoffed. Not happening.
No.
It's not. Charlotte stood, pulling on her robe, pacing the apartment like a caged thing. She wants a meeting. In person. Today. Then go, Quinn said, rising slowly. Tell her it's over. Tell her you won't be a puppet. It's not that easy. It is. You just have to want it badly enough. Charlotte looked at her for a long moment. Will you come with me? Quinn hesitated. You sure that won't make it worse? Maybe. But I don't want to do this alone anymore. Quinn exhaled. Then let's go face the dragon. 2 hours later, they stood side by side in the Whitmore family estate, Charlotte's hand warm in Quinn's, their steps synchronized as they approached the inner chamber of political power dressed as a family home. Victoria Whitmore stood by the fireplace, arms crossed, flanked by 2 campaign advisors and a lawyer Quinn recognized from TV debates. You came, the senator said, tone unreadable. You left 37 messages, Charlotte replied. I assumed it was important. It is. Victoria looked at Quinn briefly, then away, as if even acknowledging her presence required effort. We're in crisis. You've lit a match under everything we've built. Maybe it needed to burn, Charlotte replied. Don't be dramatic. Don't be dismissive. You embarrass me, Victoria snapped. You undermined this campaign. No, Charlotte said calmly. You did that when you built your image on lies. And what do you think this is? Victoria gestured toward Quinn. Some spontaneous romance? This is a PR disaster, Charlotte. The media's tearing you apart. They're talking. That means they're listening. They're judging. That's all. The lawyer cleared his throat. There's a way to salvage the campaign. A clean separation. A statement from you saying the marriage was rushed and that you're stepping away from politics for personal reasons. Let it all fade quietly. We can regroup next year. Maybe even swing sympathy. Charlotte laughed. So you want me to lie again? We want you to survive this, the advisor said. Politically. And what about personally? Charlotte asked. Because I'd rather lose everything than erase her. She turned toward Quinn, and her voice softened. I'm not letting you go. Not for them. Not again. Quinn's throat tightened, but she didn't speak. She didn't have to. Her hand gripped tighter in Charlotte's. Then you're out, Victoria said coldly. Out of the campaign. Out of the spotlight. Out of this family's future. Charlotte nodded once. Then I'm finally free. The words echoed in the silence, like a stone thrown into still water. When they left, neither of them looked back. They rode the elevator in silence, Charlotte leaning against the wall like her body had finally caught up with the weight of her choices. That's it, she said when they stepped onto the street. I'm officially a disgrace. No, Quinn said, linking their fingers again. You're officially honest. They'll come after you now too. You know that, right? Let them. Quinn smiled, but it was strained. We can't control the world, but we can control who we are in it. They went home. Their home. But the world didn't stay quiet. The next day, a publisher emailed Quinn. She'd heard about the story. She wanted rights. She wanted to offer a book deal. A memoir. Something explosive. You'll be on every talk show, the editor said over the phone. You could be huge. But we need the truth. All of it. Quinn hesitated. You want me to write about what happened?
Yes.
About the scandal. The marriage. Her mother. Evelyn. Everything. What about Charlotte? She'll have to be part of it. You can't tell the story without her. Quinn hung up before answering. That night, she told Charlotte about the offer. Charlotte listened in silence, curled up beside her on the couch. "It's your story," she said finally. "Even if it started as mine. I don't want to hurt you." "Then tell the truth." "Even if it's messy?" "Especially if it's messy." Quinn nodded, chewing her lip. "They'll drag you back into it." "Let them," Charlotte said. "This time, I'll be ready." Quinn leaned her head on her shoulder. "We're not normal, are we?" "No," Charlotte said, laughing softly. "But maybe we're something better." The offer sat in her inbox, unread. The choice wasn't just about a book. It was about who they wanted to be now that the lies were gone. The fire had burned everything down. But maybe, just maybe, this was what it meant to build something real from the ashes. The email came at 2:17 a.m. and signed and anonymous, but the subject line was enough to freeze Quinn's blood. "You're not the only one who can tell the story." She sat up in bed, blinking at the screen, rereading the message over and over. There was no body text, just an attachment. PDF. Titled Chapter 1. The Real Charlotte Whitmore. Quinn didn't open it. Not yet. Charlotte was asleep beside her, curled on her side, one hand tucked beneath her cheek, peaceful in a way that felt impossible to disturb. Quinn stared at her for a long time, then at the file, then back at her. She closed the laptop slowly, set it aside, and lay back down. But sleep never came. In the morning, she waited until Charlotte had finished her coffee, until they were sitting on the couch in their usual quiet routine, the warmth of domestic life wrapping around them like a blanket made of borrowed time. "I got an email," she said finally. Charlotte looked up. "From the publisher?"
No.
"From someone else." She turned the screen toward her. Charlotte took one look at the subject line and sat up straighter. "You opened it?" "No, let me." Quinn watched her fingers hover over the trackpad. She clicked. The document opened. The first line read, "She was never going to stay. That's what she told me the first time we kissed." Charlotte Whitmore was all fire and teeth and lies, and I loved her anyway. Charlotte exhaled sharply. "It's Evelyn." "You're sure?" That's her voice. Her cadence. The way she dramatizes everything like it's a poem. "She's writing a memoir?"
No.
"She's threatening one." Quinn frowned. "Why send it to me?" "Because she knows you're writing something too. She wants to scare you off. Or beat me to it." "Either way," Charlotte said, leaning back, "she wants control of the narrative." "Do we tell someone?" "There's no legal threat in it. No lawsuit. Just manipulation. We need to get ahead of it." Charlotte met her gaze. "Then write your book. Publish it. Be the first." "I don't want to hurt you." "You won't. Not if you tell the truth." Quinn hesitated. What if the truth isn't flattering? Then it's human. Charlotte stood, pacing slowly. "I spent my whole life trying to be perfect for people who only loved the version of me they could control. I don't want that anymore. I don't want to hide behind a polished story. I want messy.
Real.
Ugly. As long as it's honest." Quinn stood too. "Even if it brings her back into the spotlight? Let her come. Let her say what she wants. I'm not scared of Evelyn anymore." "You should be." "No," Charlotte said, voice steady. "She should be scared of us." They didn't speak for a while after that. They just moved around the apartment together, Charlotte folding laundry, Quinn rereading her old journal entries, the early drafts of their story, the things she had written in secret back when she thought none of it would matter. But now it did. It all mattered. That afternoon, Quinn met with the publisher in person. She slid the printed pages across the table. "This is my draft," she said. "It's raw. It's not edited. But it's honest." The editor read in silence for nearly 20 minutes, then looked up. "This is beautiful. It's brutal, but it's beautiful. You can publish it. We'll need clearance from Charlotte on a few passages. Legal protection. She'll approve it." "You're sure?" "I'm sure." As Quinn left the building, her phone buzzed again. A new number. One line. "He still doesn't know about us." Quinn stopped walking. Her stomach turned. She knew who he was. Congressman Robert Harrington. Evelyn's husband. "Jesus Christ," she muttered. She forwarded the message to Charlotte. A reply came instantly.
Come home now.
When she walked into the apartment, Charlotte was pacing again, barefoot, hair wild, phone in hand. She's going to tell him, Charlotte said. She's going to burn it all down. Why now? Because she's not the center of the story anymore. What do? We tell him first. Quinn blinked. Are you serious? If he hears it from us, it's over. She loses leverage. He loses the chance to spin it. He'll destroy your mother's campaign. Then let him. Charlotte sat down, shaking. I'm done letting Evelyn steer my life. I won't let her drag me down again. Then let's do it. Quinn grabbed her laptop. We write a public letter.
Joint.
Signed by both of us. We admit the affair. We admit the marriage. We don't hide. You're sure?
No.
But I'm tired of being scared. They wrote it in an hour. 2 paragraphs.
Honest. Sharp.
No sugarcoating. It went live at midnight on all their socials. Within minutes, it was everywhere. Some praised it. Some hated it. But no one ignored it. Quinn closed the laptop and looked at Charlotte. Now we wait. Or we sleep. Like that's going to happen. Charlotte pulled her close. If everything burns tomorrow, at least we did it on our terms. Us against everything. Us against everything. That night, they held each other like anchors. And when Quinn finally drifted to sleep, it was with Charlotte's hand wrapped tight in hers, and no more lies between them. The statement from Congressman Robert Harrington hit the internet at 8:04 a.m., delivered in a perfectly timed press release from his office.
Polished.
Measured. Devastating. I am deeply shocked and saddened to learn of my wife's betrayal and the deception that has surrounded my family and political career. The revelation of her long-standing affair with Charlotte Whitmore, someone I considered close to our circle, has left me reeling. I will be filing for divorce and stepping down from my re-election campaign immediately. I ask for privacy as my family navigates this personal tragedy. But the last sentence was the one that cut through everything. It is disheartening to witness how some choose self-promotion through scandal, regardless of the pain inflicted on others. Quinn read the words out loud, standing in the middle of the apartment, Charlotte pacing in front of her, hands trembling. He's painting himself as the victim, she muttered. Of course he is, Quinn replied. He's trying to bury us with guilt. He's not just stepping down, Charlotte said, stopping to look at her. He's taking the moral high ground and trying to drag me, and you, into the dirt on the way out. It won't work, Quinn said. It's already working, Charlotte replied. She opened her phone, held it out. Quinn scrolled through article after article, headlines spinning faster than she could read. Whitmore family collapse, from power to public shame. The senator's daughter and the wreckage of a political dynasty. Quinn Davis, writer, wife, homewrecker. Quinn's stomach twisted. They're blaming you now too. Of course they are, Charlotte said bitterly. Because the girl who tells the truth always gets hit harder than the ones who pretend. The phone buzzed again. Another headline. Another smear. Charlotte silenced it and tossed it onto the couch. The party wants a meeting, she said. They called me directly. Not my mother.
Me.
For what? A formal hearing. Internal disciplinary session. To decide if I'll be removed from the National Committee. Quinn blinked. You're still on the committee?
Technically.
Until tomorrow. Are you going? I don't know. You should. Charlotte looked at her sharply.
Why?
Because they need to see you. Not a version of you filtered through scandal.
You.
The woman who stopped lying, even when it cost her everything. Charlotte laughed softly. What if they eat me alive? Then at least they'll know you tasted like fire. Charlotte stared at her. And then she kissed her. Hard.
Deep.
The kind of kiss that says thank you for seeing me when no one else would. Come with me, she whispered against Quinn's lips. To the hearing? Yes. They're not going to want me there. That's exactly why I want you there. The next day, the building where the committee hearing was held felt more like a courthouse than a conference center. Security at every door. Cameras waiting outside. Quinn and Charlotte arrived hand in hand, their fingers laced tight enough to hold back everything trying to pull them apart. Inside, the room was cold.
Polished.
Seated in a semicircle were members of the party's national leadership team, men and women in suits who had once smiled at Charlotte at galas, sent her birthday cards, toasted to her future. Now, they looked at her like she was something they couldn't scrub clean. The chairwoman spoke first. Ms. Whitmore, thank you for coming. Charlotte, she corrected. You're here today to respond to the events of the past weeks. Do you understand the severity of how your actions have impacted this party's image? Yes, Charlotte said. But I also understand the damage caused by silence. A murmur rippled through the panel. The chairwoman continued. Some believe your personal life has become too public to continue holding a position within the party. My personal life became public because I stopped lying, Charlotte said. Is that not what we preach? Transparency? Integrity? There are donors threatening to pull support. Then let them. Your mother has publicly distanced herself from your decisions. She never stood beside them to begin with. You are seen as a rising star, Charlotte. Then maybe it's time to stop following stars and start lighting fires. Quinn watched from the gallery, heart racing. She had never been more terrified. Or more proud. The questions kept coming. About Evelyn. About the marriage. About Quinn. Charlotte answered them all.
Calmly.
Unflinchingly. Until one man leaned forward. If you had the chance to do it over again, would you still marry Ms. Davis? Charlotte smiled.
Yes.
Every time. Silence. Then the chairwoman leaned forward. We'll deliberate. You'll be informed within 24 hours. Charlotte stood, nodded, and walked out without another word. They didn't speak until they were back in the car. Charlotte stared out the window, expression unreadable. I don't know if I just made it worse. You made it true, Quinn said. That's all that matters. Charlotte turned to her. Do you regret it? What? Any of this?
Us.
The contract. The lies. The truth. Quinn leaned in, kissed her softly. I regret every second we wasted pretending we didn't mean it. Charlotte exhaled, relief flickering across her face like sunrise. No matter what they decide, she whispered, I'm not letting you go again. Then don't. Even if they strip me of everything, then we rebuild. Quinn reached for her hand. We start something that isn't based on fear, or hiding, or performance. Just us. On our terms. Charlotte nodded. And for the first time, there was no hesitation. No echo of Evelyn. No shadow of her mother.
Just them.
As the car pulled away from the building, Quinn's phone vibrated. Another email. This one from a journalist. Your story deserves to be heard. All of it. We'd like to adapt your book into a series. Quinn stared at the screen. Charlotte looked at her. What is it? Quinn smiled slowly. A new beginning. The email came less than an hour after the party's final decision was made public. Charlotte Whitmore officially removed from the National Committee, effective immediately. The statement was clean. No bitterness, no drama, just clinical language to erase her name from every political corridor she'd once walked through like it was hers by birthright. Charlotte had read the news in silence, standing in front of the television, arms crossed. Quinn stood behind her, close but not touching, unsure whether the right thing was comfort or space. When Charlotte finally spoke, her voice was even. It's done. They didn't deserve you, Quinn replied. They never did. Charlotte nodded once. It still stings. Of course it does. But I don't regret it. Quinn stepped forward, resting her hand lightly on Charlotte's back. Then we survived it. But they hadn't survived everything.
Not yet.
That afternoon, Quinn received a second email, this time with a subject line that made her blood run cold. Does Charlotte know what you did in college? She stared at it for a long time. Her finger hovered over delete. But curiosity, or maybe dread, forced her to click. The message was short. You lied about more than the marriage. There's a reason you dropped out of Berkeley. If the world finds out, what happens to your news story? Attached, a blurry screenshot of a university disciplinary report. A name she hadn't heard in years. Her own. Charlotte entered the room seconds later, phone in hand, eyes narrowed. I got another one, she said. Anonymous. Just said, Quinn's not who you think she is.
Quinn looked up slowly.
They're going after me now.
Why?
Because they couldn't break you. Charlotte crossed the room in 3 strides, kneeling in front of her. Talk to me. Whatever it is, I won't flinch. Quinn swallowed. Her voice was hoarse. I was 19. I was on full scholarship at Berkeley. First in my family to get that far. I got into a relationship with my creative writing professor.
She was married.
To a man. Of course. Charlotte's eyes didn't move from hers. Go on. It lasted 6 months. She said she loved me. Said she'd leave him. Then one day I walked into her office and found her with him. Laughing.
Kissing.
Like I'd never existed. I lost it. Said things. Loudly. Her TA overheard. She flipped the story. Told the board I had fabricated everything. That I stalked her. That I tried to ruin her life. Jesus. They didn't expel me, but they suspended me. Revoked the scholarship. I dropped out. You never told me. Because it was my biggest shame. Because I let someone rewrite the truth and I had no power to fight back. Charlotte stood slowly, anger in her eyes, not at Quinn, but for her. We fight back now. No more silence. But if this gets out, then it gets out. And we tell the truth before they can spin it. You think anyone will believe me now? I don't care if they do, Charlotte said, fire in her voice. I believe you. And I won't let anyone rewrite your story again. That night, they crafted another statement.
Short. Honest.
Painful. Quinn shared the truth about her past. About the professor. About the fallout. She didn't name names, but she named the shame. And she burned it. I've lied by omission, she wrote. Because I was afraid no one would believe the girl who got left behind. But I believe her now. And if you're reading this and you've ever been rewritten, I believe you too. It spread faster than they expected. Hashtags. Support. Outrage. Some tried to discredit her. Others demanded an investigation. But something else happened too, messages. Dozens. Then hundreds. Women.
Queer people.
Survivors. People who had lost scholarships, jobs, careers, and dignity to shame that was never theirs. Charlotte read every message aloud, voice trembling. You turned your pain into something powerful, she whispered. I couldn't have done this without you, Quinn said. No, Charlotte replied, but now you'll never have to. But the threats didn't stop. A voicemail came in late the next night. No caller ID. Just a man's voice.
Cold.
Mocking. You think you're brave? You're just another messy, queer girl chasing pity and relevance. You don't get to win. You don't get to be the hero. Quinn played it twice. Charlotte took the phone the second time, called someone immediately. Who? Quinn asked. Security consultant. He's good. Discreet. We'll be safe. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. Charlotte turned to her. Because you're mine to protect now. And what about your mom? She's not speaking to me. Will she? Only if I apologize. Are you going to? Charlotte looked away. I don't know. Do you want to? Charlotte's voice cracked. A part of me still does. The part that craves her approval like air. But that's not the part you live from anymore.
No.
It's not. They didn't sleep that night. They lay together in bed, both too wired, too raw. Charlotte's fingers traced patterns on Quinn's shoulder, slow, steady. I'm proud of you, she said. Even if the world isn't. You're the only world I need to believe me. You have me. Always. But just before dawn, another message came. A warning. They're digging deeper. Next time, they'll come for your family. Quinn sat up slowly, hands shaking. Charlotte woke instantly. What is it? Quinn turned the screen to her. They're not finished. Charlotte took the phone, face hardening. Then we won't be either. And in that moment, they weren't scared anymore. They were angry, ready, and still together. The letter came on cream-colored paper, elegant and impersonal. A legal summons. Berkeley University was reopening the internal investigation from Quinn's past. Her former professor, now tenured and shielded, had filed a defamation claim. The story Quinn had shared publicly had triggered a wave of new allegations, and the university, under pressure, had no choice but to respond. But the letter wasn't just a notice. It was a threat. Quinn sat at the dining table, the envelope open in front of her, hands trembling around the edges. Charlotte read it twice, then a third time, each pass hardening the line of her jaw. "They're trying to silence you again," she said. "She's trying to discredit me before anyone else can speak. That won't happen. You don't understand, Charlotte. This is her game. She knows how to twist words. She teaches people how to tell stories for a living. And you live stories. That makes you stronger than her. They'll force a deposition. I might have to see her." Charlotte knelt in front of her. "Then look her in the eye and remind her you're not 19 anymore." Quinn's voice cracked. "I'm scared."
Good.
"That means you'll tell the truth carefully. And with fire. I don't want this to ruin your life. My life started the moment I stopped letting people tell me who I'm allowed to love. You're not my ruin, Quinn. You're my reason." But even Charlotte couldn't hide her tension. That night, after Quinn fell asleep, Charlotte stood alone on the balcony, staring into the city's glowing dark. Her phone buzzed. The name made her stomach drop. Senator Victoria Whitmore. She answered after 2 rings. "You've made quite a mess," her mother said. "And yet here I am, still breathing. Do you know what it's like to have your daughter's scandal cost you the presidency? Do you know what it's like to be raised by someone who never saw you? I saw you just fine. I saw what you could be." "You mean who I could pretend to be. Are you finished?" "No," Charlotte said coldly. "I'm just getting started." Silence crackled between them. Then Victoria said, "I can help you." "With what?" "Damage control. Influence. Your girlfriend's legal trouble. The university's board, some of them still listen to me." "Why would you help?" "Because I'm not going to watch my daughter drown over someone who doesn't belong in our world." "She's my world," Charlotte said, voice sharp. "You lost your say the moment you chose politics over me. Think very carefully, Charlotte. You can't survive this without power." "Then I'll build my own. You'll regret this." "Not as much as I'd regret becoming you." Charlotte ended the call, her hands shaking. The next morning, she told Quinn everything. The offer, the threat, the refusal. Quinn listened in silence, then reached across the table and took her hand. "You didn't owe me that. I did. Thank you for choosing me." "I didn't choose you," Charlotte said, eyes bright. "I loved you, and that made the choice for me." Days passed. The pressure mounted. Journalists camped outside their apartment. Lawyers called. Charlotte's security doubled. And then, the university sent a formal request. Quinn was to appear on campus for a closed-door deposition. She said yes, because hiding was no longer an option. The flight to California was silent, but full of unspoken courage. Charlotte came with her, even though she wasn't allowed in the room. She waited outside, pacing like a storm with no sky. Inside, Quinn sat at a long table, facing a panel of men and women who barely looked at her. Across from her sat the professor. Still polished. Still smug. "I don't remember events that way," she said calmly. "Of course you don't," Quinn replied. "Because I was just a story to you. A risk. A liability. Something to hide. We had no relationship. You had a reputation. I had everything to lose. So I lost it. Do you have any proof?" "Just the truth. And I'm not afraid of it anymore." After an hour, it was over. Quinn walked out into the hallway and collapsed into Charlotte's arms. "You did it," Charlotte whispered, holding her tight. "We did it," Quinn corrected. "I couldn't have done any of this without you." That night, back in the hotel, Quinn's publisher called.
"There's a bidding war," she said.
"The adaptation rights. Studios are fighting for it. One of them wants to do it your way, with you writing. Total control." Quinn hung up, stunned. Charlotte poured wine. "What now?" "Now," Quinn said, "we tell the story the way it was always meant to be told. Messy. Honest. Ours." But the day wasn't done. A letter waited for them at the front desk. No sender. Just Charlotte's name handwritten in black ink. Inside, a single sentence. Your father left something for you. Meet me tomorrow alone. And at the bottom, a name neither of them expected. Victoria. The meeting place was unexpected. Not a penthouse or a private office or some glass tower built for power. Victoria Whitmore had requested they meet at a quiet cemetery on the outskirts of D.C., where the press wouldn't follow, where no microphone could catch a whisper, and where the air hung heavy with silence and finality. Charlotte arrived alone, just as instructed. She wore black. No makeup. No armor. Just truth. The day was gray and windless, and Victoria waited under a gnarled oak tree beside a gravestone with no flowers, hands clasped, face unreadable. Thank you for coming, she said. I almost didn't. And yet you're here. Because you said it was about him. It is. Victoria stepped aside. The stone read, Jonathan Whitmore, beloved husband and father. 1958 to 2002. Charlotte blinked. I thought he was cremated. He was. But I had a stone placed here anyway. For the public. For me.
Why?
Because it was easier than facing what really happened. Charlotte turned to her slowly. What had happened? Victoria didn't answer immediately. Her shoulders slumped. Her voice dropped. Your father died with secrets. Not about affairs or politics. About himself. What kind of secrets? He was gay, Charlotte. Silence cracked open between them like thunder. He loved me once. Or tried to. But by the end, he was miserable.
Trapped.
Living a lie he couldn't breathe through. And I let him. Charlotte's throat tightened. You let him? I encouraged him. Because I needed him beside me. Because a single mother in Washington didn't have the same power. Because I chose ambition over his freedom. And you did the same thing to me. Yes. Why are you telling me this now? Victoria finally looked her in the eyes. Because I've already lost one person I loved to silence. I won't lose another. Not if I can help it. Charlotte stared at the stone. At the name she'd said 1,000 times without really knowing who he'd been. So all these years you hated me for being like him. I hated myself. Victoria stepped closer, reaching into her coat pocket. She pulled out a sealed envelope. This was his. He wrote it the month before he died. I never gave it to you. Why now? Because you've earned the right to know the truth. To choose what you carry forward. Charlotte took it with shaking fingers.
She didn't open it. Not yet.
Victoria stepped back. I still don't agree with your choices. But I see you now. And I know you're not afraid anymore. That's because someone loves me without conditions. Then hold on to her. Because unconditional love is the rarest kind. And for once, Victoria didn't try to hug her. Didn't ask for anything more. She just nodded once, turned, and walked away, leaving Charlotte alone with the grave, the letter, and the truth. Back at the apartment, Quinn waited. She opened the door before Charlotte could knock, eyes wide with worry and something deeper, relief. You're okay? I'm okay, Charlotte whispered. She stepped inside and pulled the envelope from her coat. My father left this for me. Do you want to open it alone? No, they sat on the couch, shoulders touching, and Charlotte broke the seal. The letter was short. Handwritten.
Neat.
My dearest Charlie, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. But I need you to know something before the world tells you who I was. I tried. I really tried to be the man your mother needed. The man the world expected. But inside me lived a truth I was too afraid to name. You have that truth too. I see it in your eyes. The fire. The longing. The ache to be more than what they tell you to be. Don't hide it. Don't bury it like I did. Love who you love loudly. Recklessly. Entirely. Because you deserve that. We both did. I hope the world is kinder to you than it was to me. And if it's not, burn it down with your truth. Love always, Dad. Charlotte couldn't speak. She folded the letter slowly, tears tracing clean lines down her cheeks. He knew, she whispered. He saw me. Quinn wrapped her arms around her. And he gave you permission to be exactly who you are. They stayed like that for a long time, breathing in the silence, the grief, the strange relief of knowing the past was finally giving way. That night, they went to bed wrapped around each other. Not out of fear, not out of desperation, but out of choice. The next morning, Quinn received the final version of her publishing contract. Full rights, control over adaptation, and a premiere date. They want to call it The Bet, she said, reading the email. That works. You think? Charlotte smirked. We did start as a drunken disaster in Vegas. And now Quinn trailed off. Something real. No, Charlotte said. We're everything. Quinn looked at her, the weight of months behind them, the fire and chaos and tenderness they had earned. Today was supposed to be the day the contract ended. Charlotte blinked.
Oh.
6 months, remember? I remember. So, Quinn said, voice soft. What now? Charlotte stood, crossed the room, and pulled a small box from the drawer by the window. Quinn watched, heart pounding. I bought this the week after you left, Charlotte said. Didn't know if I'd ever get to give it to you. She opened the box. Inside, a new ring. Simple, elegant.
Real.
This time, Charlotte whispered, no contracts. No cameras. No lies.
Just love.
Say yes. Quinn stared at her, tears in her eyes, breath caught in her throat. Then she smiled. Yes. Charlotte slipped the ring onto her finger. Wife, she whispered. Wife, Quinn echoed. And just like that, what began as a drunken mistake became the most honest promise either of them had ever made. No audience. No scandal. Just two women who had been rewritten, reclaimed, and reborn in each other's arms.